Do you feel lonely? You might be surprised that you are not alone. There's so many people today that feel lonely, that struggle with loneliness. It is not an uncommon thing. First important thing to understand is it's not uncommon. You would be surprised at how many people feel alone as well. We tend to think we are unique with our problems. It's just me. Everyone else has it figured out. Everyone has a boyfriend, everyone has a girlfriend, but I'm alone. And what I have to say is, a lot of people are alone. A lot of people feel these things, and it's not just you. But that being said, there's two things I want to get into in this video. Why you started feeling lonely to begin with, why this occurs, and more importantly, what do we do once we understand loneliness? First of all, loneliness is caused by when we have a feeling of wanting something. We want a boyfriend, a girlfriend. We have a wanting, we deep down maybe we feel inadequate or incomplete. And we want someone to fulfill that role of togetherness, oneness, okay? Separation, loneliness, oneness. So what tends to happen is and the problem also is we're told by our friends, family members and things, it's okay, you'll find someone, don't worry. There's plenty of fish in the sea. As a guy, I have plenty of fish in the sea, and you'll find someone. So what tends to happen is that encourages guys, girls to be patient, wait for that special someone to pop up in our lives and make us feel happy and complete. But in the meantime, until that happens, we tend to not really do much. We don't tend to fill in the gap between. When we have a problem of loneliness, because we're conditioned to think, okay, I want to get into groupthink. So basically what groupthink is when you have these conditioned ideals, as though your parents will tell you, don't worry, you'll find someone, it's okay. Or your friends will say the same, there's plenty of fish in the sea, you'll find someone. There's love for everyone. And they might tell you their story and they're like, yeah, we just bumped into each other and we made a connection and it was great and now we're together. And maybe you're thinking, why doesn't that happen to me? Or maybe I'll just have to be patient. Sometimes, for some people, those situations happen. Maybe for some people, social competence becomes more natural. But for some of us, we deal with more insecurities and more fears, more judgment. We judge ourselves and we get stifled around people. Generally, the people who drew the short end of the straw tend to be the ones who are not as competent socially, and forming relationships and finding someone tends to become much more tricky. So, that being said, we can have the mindset of maybe one day I'll find someone and it'll work out, but the alternative is what I did. I actually got into pickup. And there's a lot of backlash to do with pickup. A lot of guys, they freak out when they hear that because they think, I want to be myself, I don't want to be manipulative, I don't want to be like that, I just want things to be natural. But for a lot of us, when it comes to attraction and meeting someone, a lot of us don't have the privilege of having those skills, of having that skill set. So in my experience, I didn't have that skill set of finding someone. I wasn't naturally competent, I wasn't naturally confident. It was something I had to develop. So what I did was, and this is what most people don't want to hear, most people want the quick fix, so be warned when I tell you this, I want you to look within and think, maybe I should consider this, instead of looking for another video or another piece of advice that will give you this quick fix, okay? For example, people get into spirituality in hopes of thinking, if I could just let go of my thoughts and feelings, then I'll be happy, I don't have to worry about it anymore, and I'll be okay, I'll just meditate and everything will be fine. all well and good, but are you seeking an enlightened master and trying to figure that out? Or are you kind of putting that off? For most of us, that's an unrealistic goal, and for most of us, we don't believe in that sort of esoteric stuff anyway. In my experience, I think there's an element of that. I think, of course, being comfortable with yourself and being grounded and not needing love, it makes attracting love much easier, because we're coming from a different state. We're coming from a place of non-attachment. So I think in the law of attraction, it states that you attract what you put it out into the world. So if you have this non-attachment vibe, if you don't need something, generally what happens is you get it. But for someone who hasn't done much research, hasn't read many books, hasn't read much on attraction, it's silly advice to tell them, just don't be attached, just don't be needy, just don't need it, just relax, be confident within yourself. I hear that a lot, but it doesn't necessarily help a lot of people. It didn't help me. Hearing that, I was like, what? It didn't help. I got to a turning point and I was like, I need to go out. I need to start approaching. I started going out 3 to 6 nights a week to approach women. I had to practice my social skills, something I didn't have. But what happened in that time was I started to have experiences, and I started to form connections with women and have dates and numbers when I hadn't before. 2 years ago, I never really dated a girl, never really got any numbers. The first time I asked for a number was 2 years ago. But by the way, that might not sound like long, and you're like, well, I shouldn't listen to this guy because he's not even that experienced. I went out 3 to 6 nights a week for 2 years. For 2 years, okay? 3 to 6 nights. I would set myself out goals to approach about 5 girls each night. So that's like 2 years, 365 days in a year. I've gone out like for a whole year in the past 2 years approaching women, but I didn't just approach women. I researched, I went out with other people, I learned from people, and doing all that and having all that experience, I gained a skill set of confidence, and attraction became much easier because it's something I committed to and something I learned. But I didn't have this skill set before. I was maybe just like you. If you're maybe struggling with anxiety, you feel alone, you want someone, maybe considering learning your social skills and reading books on attraction is best for you. I don't think it's good for someone just getting into this and someone telling them just meditate and just let go and be free. Not generally good advice. The psychology behind that, it's in a sense pretty advanced. And now you might think, okay, well, I'll just figure that out. I don't want to have to go out all the time. Now, but the way I would address that is do both at the same time. You can be spiritual, but you can also go out. That's what I did. I was reading books by Eckhart Tolle. He's a spiritual teacher talks about presence and letting go. But at the same time, I was going out. Because what happens if you never figure out this letting go state and this present state? Well, you're still going to be that same person, alone, fearful, and maybe have social anxiety or low confidence. So it's important to develop that skill set and go out. And that might sound overwhelming to begin with, but I'm telling you, there's a whole range of videos online about other people who went out, guys just like me, to learn social skills and become more competent. And I say this because I'm not going to give you comfortable advice, and I understand there's a lot of content out there with a quick fix, a quick technique, just this is how you get the girl, this is what you say, but a lot of it's not completely practical. Maybe you have to face your fears. If you want to get the most out of it, if you want to get the most results, maybe facing your fears is the best thing you could do and go out. You can just start simple. I reward myself on my attendance. If I say hi to a girl 5 times, maybe I set a goal. Say if I'm just beginning with this, I go, alright, next week I'm going to say hi to 5 girls. I'm not going to ask for a number, not anything. I'm just going to do that. Think about that week, and after that, you look back and like, wow, I approached 5 women that week. Be nice to them, be empathetic, don't be all weird and like walk up behind them and tap them on the shoulder, or be creepy and gropey or anything like that. Be empathetic and say, hey, how you going? Just hello. It might suck. It's not going to be comfortable at all, but that's where you start. And then what you can do the next week. Next week you can be like, all right, next week I'm going to try and compliment it. And you try and compliment it. And then you progress from there. And that's how you develop social skills. And then you get to the point where you have a skill set of confidence, and asking for a number, it becomes something easy. And now that lonely thing that's been pulling you down, well, now you can just ask a girl for a number and potentially get a date. So you've got that covered. Because in the beginning it's going to be tricky. You're going to be like, hey, I just want to say hi, how you doing? But as you learn and develop these skills, things become more natural. Yeah, so that's my take on loneliness and how you can overcome it. I hope you learned something there, and hopefully this was practical and you could take something out of it, and hopefully take some action in the next coming weeks. And we are in the pandemic at the moment. I don't know if I can say that word. Apparently saying that word is bad and it's censored or something, but yeah, just go on those dating apps, try that out. But it's calming down anyway. You can go out in the mall or in the street or whatever. You don't even have to shake the girl's hand. You can keep a meter's distance. Hey, how you doing? Like that. Not hard. You can get around it. But that's what I'll leave you with. So, hope you got something out of this, and I'll catch you later. Ciao.